Do you believe Trump won the 2020 election?
I think it's very suspect, and
Why is it suspect?
I found it to be more what I always said, that here is the fraud of the 2020 election. It was the mail-in ballot. Given everybody a mail-in ballot.
We were in a global pandemic, and there was no evidence of widespread voter fraud.
It was a Democrat's dream.
But there was no evidence of widespread. What's the evidence of widespread voter fraud? Donald Trump is the only president in the history of this country that did not concede.
Finish.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
The fraud was everybody, dumb people, like you say. There's a lot of dumb people in America.
Sure.
To vote from the damn couch. Mm-hmm. And when you're giving a ballot to everybody to vote from their damn couch, rather than having them get up, we live in a Colorado state, so we're a mail-in state. But when you give everybody across the United States, and not everybody is set up for mail-in ballot, yeah, there could be potential fraud, but
fraud.
But more than that, the fraud was that everybody got a ballot. And if you have a house of 4 people, and then somebody went through and filled out the ballot and then had their family members sign.
So you don't like mail-in ballot voting. So Donald Trump mail-in ballot voted his entire life. During the pandemic, he told people not to mail-in ballot.
Whoa. So if you're saying that he did that, that was absentee ballot, and you had to register for an absentee ballot. It wasn't just given to everybody like it was in the 2020 election.
But in order for the election to be stolen, there would have to be evidence of widespread voter fraud.
Okay, so
nobody has shown that evidence.
I gave you my opinion. Now, here is why I find it more suspect. Okay, so my thing was everybody got to vote. That was the fraud. Okay, now the thing with the 2028 election is, where did all your voters go?
2024, you mean?
2024 election. Where did all your voters go?
Well, the first thing I would say to that is I know a lot of people that didn't vote. They were tired. They were angry.
At whom?
At both parties. There's a lot of people that didn't vote, but that doesn't mean there was fraud. I guess the point I'm trying to make here.
What was the vote tally for Trump in 2024?
I don't recall the exact number. I know that it was a very,
he got more than
very
he got
close
in
election.
2020.
Yeah, he did. It was a very close election. He won the popular vote, but it was very tight. Let me ask you another question. Does January 6th happen if Donald Trump doesn't say the election was stolen?
Well, what was January 6th to you? Was it an insurrection?
I don't really care what people label it.
So it was a riot.
But I don't care what people label it.
Was it a riot? I think it was a riot.
Like I said, I don't really care.
I don't think it was an insurrection.
Okay, even if that's true, which I would probably disagree with you on, but even if that's true, that's not important to me. What's important to me is that 140 officers were injured. People died that day. It was a very embarrassing day for the country. Well, there were a few people that died. There was a woman that was trampled that also had a heart attack. Ashley Babbitt.
Did she die of being trampled, or did she die of
both?
A heart attack?
Both. You can look it up. Both.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Both. Ashley Babbitt was killed. I could also tell you that 140 officers were injured. Multiple officers have still traumatic brain injury to this day. It was a very bad day for the country, and you know that. You saw the videos of it.
So you're talking about 2 Trump supporters that died.
I don't
on
really,
the day.
I don't really care whether they're a Trump supporter or not, but I would also tell you that Brian Sitnick died the next day.
Yeah. What did he die of?
While the coroner said natural causes, the coroner also said that he believed that the events of that day may have also led to his death.
Okay.
He did an interview and he also said that. So if you think Brian Sitnick just died the next day and it had nothing to do with the past 24 hours, I would disagree with you on that. I could also tell you that several officers committed suicide in the months after, and their families said they were never the same since that day. The point I'm trying to make, besides getting into the weeds, is it was a very bad day for the country. It was a violent day. A lot of people were hurt, injured, some people died.
Some people were violent, yes.
Okay. Does it happen if Donald Trump doesn't say the election was stolen?
I don't know.
You don't know. So if Donald Trump conceded, which every other president...
But you can't deny...
Hold on.
No, you can't deny...
I introduced you guys some cookies.
Oh, we're good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You can't deny that he said, we are going to go to the Capitol, we are going to peacefully...
You can't deny that he said that Joe Biden stole the election and the Democrats stole the election.
When that had happened, the riot was already happening.
Okay, but that's not my question.
Before that had happened, the riot was already
That's
happening.
not my question. My question is, if Donald Trump doesn't lie, and it's been nothing's been proven that the election was stolen,
okay, so
until you prove it in a court of law, which he had the opportunity to do so,
Well, I don't think it was ever really litigated because, it never got past certain points of the judges.
Because the judges said there was no merit.
Right.
Nobody has showed any evidence of widespread voter fraud.
So
you could have your opinions.
So if you have the opinion, so knowing what you know about the Supreme Court and the opinions of the left, as opposed to the Supreme Court, there are low opinion ratings of the Supreme Court. What makes you think that the judicial system isn't going to have I'm not going to have a low opinion of the judicial system?
Okay, so if you disagree with the judicial system, answer me this one question.
I don't disagree with the judicial system.
Okay.
I want fairness within the judicial
so
system.
name me one piece of evidence or proof.
It was never presented. It was never allowed.
Shouldn't somebody have presented that in public? If there was a smoking gun and there was actually evidence of widespread voter fraud, don't you think we would have heard about it by now from somebody, not Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, or Dinesh D'Souza? We would actually hear it from somebody credible. There has been nobody to this day.
I don't find Dinesh D'Souza non-credible.
Really, you think 2,000 Mules was by the way, 2,000 Mules, he was sued and he litigated it and he had to pay people out for literally lying in his documentary.
Okay, well.
You call that guy credible? A felon who did a documentary he's a felon.
Yeah. So you're very loose with the terms felon. Just because somebody is convicted of something,
they're a felon.
Well, that's what you say.
No, that's what our court system says. That's what our judicial system says.
But so I find that term very loose when you say it about Donald Trump. Oh yeah, it's absolutely loose because like I just said to you earlier,
I'm not a felon.
It wasn't.
I've never been convicted of a felony.
Neither am I. But it wasn't a fair trial.
Well, that's your opinion.
And if it were,
got you.
Would you have had any problem with
so
moving into a county that was more 50-50?
So in your opinion, it doesn't matter whether you're convicted of a felony. In your opinion, if you don't agree with the outcome, you're not a felon. I didn't agree with the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, but you know
what was wrong with that?
The difference between you and me.
What was wrong with that?
I'm trying to make a point.
Okay.
The difference between you and me is
you accepted it.
I accepted it, and I don't call him a felon. I think he's an idiot. He shouldn't have been there.
Why shouldn't he have been there?
Because he's a 17-year-old, and by the way, he even admitted this. He's a 17-year-old dressed up in camouflage with no police training, going into a very dangerous situation.
And why was it
Nothing
dangerous?
good is going to happen about that. Riots can be very dangerous.
Yeah, well, who was doing the riots?
What does that have to do with my point? My point is Kyle Rittenhouse shouldn't have been there. A 17-year-old by himself.
So an American citizen is unallowed to travel.
I didn't say he was unallowed. I didn't say he broke the law.
So he
I
had
didn't say that.
He had every right to be there. By the way,
I didn't say he didn't have the right.
You knew he was there ahead of time, and he was helping trying to clean up
my argument
on walls. Was he not?
Well, here's why I disagree with that too.
But he was there doing.
My opinions are backed up with facts. A week before.
So it's not a fact that he was there earlier trying to help clean graffiti off the walls.
I'm telling you why I don't think that was his objective. A week before, which was not admissible in a court, he is caught on video watching people shoplift down there, and he says on video, "I wish I could shoot them." Now that wasn't admissible in court. It's on camera. That's not somebody that just wants to go there with a gun who just wants to clean things up. It shows you the mind frame. And Charlie Kirk, rest his soul, is the guy who paid Kyle Rittenhouse to speak on college campuses. I find that despicable. But the reason why I bring up Kyle Rittenhouse is because even though I don't like the guy, I've never called him a murderer. Why? Because our courts made the decision, and a jury made the decision, that it was self-defense. While I might not agree, I don't call him a felon. There are people that are convicted of felonies. I might not agree with the outcome, but that doesn't mean they're not a felon.
Who was being attacked? Kyle Rittenhouse or the guys that got shot?
I just told you, I don't agree that he should have been there. I've never called him a
so
murderer.
He shouldn't have been there.
Yeah. He should not have been there. It was horrible judgment for him to be there, but he was.
And he was armed.
I've never said he was a criminal. I never said that.
Were the guys he shot?
I never said that either. You're missing my point. My point is, he wasn't convicted.
Well,
therefore, he's not a murderer.
My point is, he was there doing something good for the community. Whatever was said.
I disagree.
Whatever. I mean, look, in the comfort of your own home, we all say stupid shit. Okay. So you're not perfect.
But in the comfort of our own home, we don't. Right, but in the comfort of our own home, when we say we dream of shooting people that are shoplifting toothpaste, we don't dream of shooting them.
I probably have said some things about some of the riots that I can't remember, but wish that somebody had probably taken care.
Did you wish that on January 6th? Because you labeled it a riot. Have you ever criticized those people? Did you criticize that riot?
The violent ones, absolutely.
You did. Okay, good.
Absolutely.
I'm glad to hear that.
Anybody that was violent on January 6th.
We agree.
Yeah.
Why did the guy who you support call them hostages and patriots and pardon 1,500 people, some of them who beat cops with their own batons?
Well, they were all pardoned likely because they weren't treated fairly within the justice
If
system.
you beat a police officer in this country, forget about January 6th. There are some people that are sentenced to 10 to 20 years behind bars.
Look. Well, were they all pardoned, or were some of their sentences commuted?
Overwhelming majority.
Yeah, well, but did some of the higher crimes, or those who
No,
they
I
weren't
know
committed?
the leader of the Proud Boys who got a 22-year sentence. Okay,
Yeah.
he served a year and a half and he's out. But my point still stands, and I wanted to ask you about this. He called all those people, not the nonviolent ones. And I agree with you. Some of the people were over sentenced.
Well, don't you?
But he
don't
called.
you,
He
don't you
called.
think that?
He
Don't
called
you think
people.
that the treatment of people who just walked into a Capitol when the doors were open, when somebody kind of invited them in and just let them stroll through?
It's not how it worked.
Well, wait. It is how it worked.
There were a couple
because
of
I've seen those videos
Right.
of people who walked
There
in.
were a few.
And then they walked in. There was more overwhelming evidence that these people who had walked in didn't damage the Capitol. Now, I'm not
talking about those people.
hang
I'm
on.
talking about the people who
But
beat
wait a
cops.
second. What I'm trying to get to is these people were not treated fairly.
All of them?
Yes, all of them.
Even the people who beat police officers.
No, I'm talking about, when I say all of them, all of these people who were peaceful, were in the Capitol, but those who had done things to officers, yes, they should have
Listen,
they should have met
I'm
their
not
justice.
talking about the nonviolent people.
What I'm trying to draw the correlation between the two is you had a majority of these people who weren't violent, who didn't do anything to do anything.
They broke
at
the law.
Capitol.
They still broke the law.
What was it?
Well, first of all, trespassing. There are people that defecated on Nancy Pelosi's desk, destruction of property. There were areas that they should not have been in that they were in.
So we're not talking about people defecating on somebody's desk.
Well,
we're talking which would be a crime anywhere else. But you have people defecating in the street, but nobody
there's a difference
comes up on
between
them and say you're trespassing.
That's
and I'm
also
gonna
against the
send you to
law.
jail.
But there's a difference between defecating in the street and going into the Capitol.
What I'm trying to say is that a lot of the media that I was digesting, I would see these people who I thought were treated unfairly. Now,
well, I don't know what media you're watching.
Well, I watch it all.
Okay, but let's go back to my original question, because I think we're getting in the weeds here, and I'm not talking about the nonviolent criminals.
You can't talk to just surface with me and not go into the weeds on some of these things.
But he called them all hostages and patriots.
Because what I'm saying is, it was just more of a blanket. More of these people over here is probably what he was talking about.
Then call the nonviolent. But he didn't say that, my friend. He didn't say that. He didn't say, listen, for the nonviolent criminals, I feel like they were mistreated. By the way, I don't think you're a patriot when you go in there. That doesn't make you a patriot.
Well, if I had been there, okay, and the doors were wide open.
Okay, the doors were not wide
open.
There was testimony about that, and there were a couple officers that let people in, as you say, because they had guns, and there was 2 against 200. So you either take out your gun and you start shooting people, or you say, okay, I'm going to have to let them in because I don't want to kill people. I actually think they made the right decision. How do we know this? Because they testified. They weren't people that said, hey, come on in. And
you mean, so they weren't beat up?
What do you mean?
The cops that let him in.
Not every police
They weren't beat
officer.
up.
Not every police officer was beaten.
Okay.
There were some police officers that were 140 of them. The point I'm trying to make is, why not just say they were not all hostages and patriots? There were some very bad people that did some very violent things.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you that some of these people I would have treated a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't agree with Trump on 100% of everything either.
Well, I don't agree with any politician on 100% of everything.
Well, I mean, there's definitely that.